Hi everyone, this is going to be the ultimate Star Stable Realistic Roleplay video guide. So if you want to know everything that goes into creating one of these videos and you want to start making your own Star Stable Realistic Roleplay videos, keep watching to find out how. Realistic Roleplay is a type of roleplay in Star Stable where you pick a role, in this case an equestrian, you act out scenarios and storylines that you create as if they were happening in real life, use the game's graphics and features to really bring the stories to life, and it's called realistic because the idea is to use terms, tack, clothes, horses, and more that you would actually use in real life. There's a lot of ways you can get involved in the community. There's Instagram, live shows, YouTube, or just good old global chat when it's not dead. Getting your storyline is a bit daunting, but it's probably the funnest part of the process, and if you're still stuck, be creative, have fun with it. Make your storyline your ideal life or base it off your own writing journey. Coming up with your character's background, setting, how many horses they have, what discipline they do, and all that stuff is pretty fun. And you don't need to know everything about horses to create a good realistic roleplay. I certainly didn't when I started off, and I still don't. Researching is a great tool. I actually learned a lot about horses from doing this. To simplify finding your storyline, ask yourself who's your character, what are their strengths and weaknesses, their personality traits, their background in writing and in general, where are they now in their horse journey, what are their motivations, goals, and desires, and do they have any internal or emotional conflict going on? The next question is where do they live, where do they ride, are they happy or do they want to move? Some of my favorite places for realistic roleplays are the Silverglade Manor, Steve's Farm, Golden Leaf Stable, Baroness's Racetrack, and Starshine Ranch, just to name a few, and most of these places have paddock props, stables, arenas, and just fun stuff you can use to really bump up your realistic roleplay. Now it's time for my personal favorite part. You get to choose your horse. If they're leasing the horse, if they own, if they have more than one horses, you can choose the breed. I recommend using the realistic breeds from Gen 3 mainly. And you also want to figure out the basics, like what's their gender, their age, what kind of experience or background do they have, what's their story, and what discipline they do. And give your horse some personality. It goes a long way in creating a storyline with a little more depth, so your horse is more than just a collection of pixels. Some of the main personality types of horses are introvert, extrovert, sensitive, dominant, social. Obviously, you can delve a little deeper into these if you'd like, and there are more personalities of horses than just those, but that's kind of an idea of what you can do. You've got most of your storyline, and now it's time to come up with some video ideas. So I always like to start off with a writing story video because it really acquaints whoever's watching to your storyline. Some other classic video ideas are a Meet My Horses video, routines, vlogs, competitions, and trying horses videos are all things you could do and put your own fun spin on. And if you're feeling uninspired, I sometimes like to go through and check out some other Star Stable Realistic Roleplays just to see what other people have posted and take some inspiration from that. And once you have your topic, it's time to start the scripting process. My scripting process is pretty straightforward. I basically just write what the scene is going to be showing and then what I'm going to be saying, and have fun with it. Be creative, put your own unique twist on it. It can be a little daunting at first, but trust me, getting started is the hardest part. Before you start filming, Reshade is another really great tool that people use. I don't really use it that often because it always glitches out and it's such a headache to figure out. But once you get familiar with the settings and how to download it and update it, it can really take your realistic roleplays to another level. When it comes to creating realistic outfits and tack, look for inspiration from real-life equestrian fashion. Use realistic things like jumping boots if you're doing show jumping, using a dressage saddle pad and saddle when you're doing dressage, and all that good stuff. It really takes it to the next level when you use proper tack and riding outfits for whatever discipline you're riding in. I would definitely try to keep your saddle and bridle colors more neutral, like brown and black. Pay attention to those little details that really elevate your outfits, like coordinating colors, textures, patterns, and accessorizing. Now that everything's together, it's time to start filming. It's gonna be a lot easier if you have a good quality computer so you're not constantly lagging or crashing. My Windows 11 MSI PC has really pulled through for me over the years. As for recording, I use the free version of Bandicam. I know some computers have built-in recording systems if you want to take advantage of that. I just prefer Bandicam. Now on to some filming tips when you actually get into the game. So first things first, you want to get rid of all that clutter, and to do this, I just press F1 on my PC keyboard. And if you want to make your life a little bit harder than it needs to be, you could also go to settings, then creative, and then scroll to hide user interface, and that'll do basically the same thing. To get that smooth, not very pixelated look, you want to go to settings and then kind of play around with your field of view. The closer the better. I like to zoom out as much as possible on my distance to camera for my horse and player, so I can zoom in as much as possible on the field of view, because it starts to look a little wacky the farther you zoom out. I don't think I need to explain any further. It can't always be as zoomed in as possible though, because sometimes it'll then like cut off the horse's legs and you want the whole view of the horse, so that's just my little pro tip. When my character is just talking, I like to use the chat emotes, and these really go a long way in making your character actually look like a person rather than a lifeless little potato staring back at you. And when I'm really feeling adventurous, sometimes I'll have my character stand in front of a solid background when I'm talking, just so that I can cut her out and kind of green screen another photo of a more realistic or edited background that I made. I'll also do this if I want to have like a news segment or just something to really make it a little more like real life. If you really want to set the scene and get some sort of landscape shot or any scene without your horse and rider, I recommend going to settings and hiding mounted horse and player. There's also some other options you can do, like hide dismounted horse and player when the time is right. This is one of my favorite features Star Stable added, and it allows you to have a really nice little landscape shot with some movement. Let's talk camera angles. So if you want to get that first person helmet cam point of view, all you have to do, go to settings, go to creative, and then press become a wild horse, and then basically zoom in as much as you can. So make sure your field of view's up and the distance to camera for your horse is up. And there you have it. You have a fun little helmet cam view. Maybe Star Stable will add a first person feature someday, but until then, this works pretty good. Although I will say you can't really jump with this angle. It kind of just shows you the horse's hind when it jumps. So other than that though, it's a great tool to use if you want to add some helmet cam clips to your video. The next type of angle is a still shot with your horse or a person moving. Now, if you want to do something like this, unfortunately there's no feature to like place a camera down and move around, so you might actually just have to ask a friend for help or log in on another device. I rarely do this angle just because it takes so much more effort, but it definitely looks good when it's done. And when you're filming these riding shots, I just like to get a bunch of fun angles and kind of play around with it. I usually get way more than I need for the video, and if you ever need to like take out the other players in the arena because they're being a little pesky or whatever, you can go to that funny little eye in the corner of your screen and just show riding club members or group members or whatever. I highly recommend that you guys use paddock props. These are a great tool to really up your realistic roleplay game. A lot of the arenas in Star Stable have them now, and sometimes you have like dressage rings you can choose from, show jumping courses, obstacle courses. There's just a bunch of fun things usually. They're pretty fun, and I absolutely love using these for my realistic roleplays. And you can even customize these jumps a little bit. So if you want to make them a little smaller, maybe you have a horse that realistically can't jump that high. You just kind of pounce on them, tackle them, and one pole will get knocked down, and then you have a bit of a smaller jump, so it's a bit more realistic. Editing can be a lengthy process, but once you get it figured out, it's still a lengthy process. I personally use Wondershare Filmora 12, and it gives me all the resources and tools I need to make a realistic roleplay video, plus they have a lot of good options for music. If you want to narrate your videos using voiceovers, I would highly recommend a microphone. I personally have and love the Blue Yeti microphone. You've got your video, and now you just need a thumbnail. Or maybe you just want to take some pictures of your horse on Star Stable and edit them. In any case, the first thing you gotta do is take a good picture of whatever you're doing in Star Stable. It's pretty self-explanatory, but you press that O or camera option. I always try to bring that field of view as close as possible just to make the picture look very smooth and nice. And this depth of field option is an absolute game changer. It blurs the background and you basically click on wherever you want it to focus, and this just brings a lot more attention to whatever the subject of the photo is. I always use this for every single one of my photos. And I sometimes play with the brightness, saturation, and contrast. I use Canva Pro, which is paid for, and I use it to do all my thumbnails and art in my videos, like putting blankets on a horse, special tack, and to get those fun backgrounds when your character is talking or something. And I can make really cool edits snippets like these. Oftentimes I'll just use a collage of those edited photos for my thumbnails, so I just choose a picture I like and then start editing it. So I usually look online for a good blanket or whatever, and then remove the background using that feature through Canva, and then tweak it as much as I need and flip it around, do whatever I need to do to get it fitting the horse. And most of the time I also color edit it just so it can really match the thumbnail and be aesthetic or whatever. And there you have the finished product, and there's obviously a lot more you can do with this. And once you're done with this, just add whatever text and other pictures you'd like. If that seems like a lot, it's because it is. Just remember, you don't have to get everything all at once. A lot of these skills take time, and with that, it's a really rewarding process and a pretty fun community to be a part of. So I hope you all enjoyed and found it helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next realistic roleplay video, because that's probably what my next video is going to be.